Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, this is our lecture number 4 in the series of leadership theories, and in today's lecture we'll be covering great man theory and trait theory. I'm Dr. Ayaz Muhammad Khan, Director Division of Education, University of Education, Lahore. Great man leadership theories. It's an innate ability. Who is born to lead? But the question arises, are some people born to lead? According to the contemporary theorist, leaders are not like other peoples. They do not need to be intellectually genius to succeed, but they definitely should have the right stuff, which is not equally present in all people. This orientation expresses an approach to the study of leadership known as the great man theory. Dear students, besides prophets who are the chosen people, if we look at great leaders of the past, such as Alexander the Great, Emperor Jalaluddin Akbar, and many more, they do seem to differ from ordinary human beings in several aspects. It is believed that these people are born with a set of personal qualities that made them effective leaders. That is why, even today, we believe truly great leaders are born, and this thing is quite common. Dear students, Thomas Carlyle was the chief proponent of the theory which we nowadays called great man theory. On heroes, hero worship, and the heroic in history is a book by Thomas Carlyle. It is actually a collection of 6 lectures given in May 1840 about prominent historical figures. Actually, it lays out Carlyle's best in the importance of heroic leadership. He called his theory as great man theory. He actually analyzed successful leaders of his time to determine which traits they possess and concluded that leaders are born, not made. And if you did not have these traits, you could not be a leader. The second main proponent of great man theory was Francis Galton. Galton used to believe that intelligence and most other physical and mental characteristics of humans were inherited and biologically based. Leadership could only be found in small number of people with specific unchanging traits. They are inherited and part of their genetic makeup. So Galton in Hereditary Genius in 1869 proposed that a system of arranged marriages between men of distinction and women of wealth would eventually produce a gifted race. In 1865, the basic laws of heredity were discovered by the father of modern genetics, Charles Darwin, who was actually a cousin of Sir Francis Galton. Another model used in the ancient times was actually reinvented by Gods of Management, written by Handys in 1991. He used to believe that there are 4 cultures which produce 4 type of personalities or leadership styles: Zeus, Apollo, Athena, and Dionysus. Dear students, though this discrimination of the features of gods in the form of Zeus, Apollo, Athena, and Dionysus cannot be attributed to great man theory, but actually it is an ancient one, and they used to believe that there are 4 sorts of leadership, and these leaderships are actually based on the features of gods. So just get over it, and if you want to ask any question to me, this is just an additional thing, not a part of great man theory, but you got to get through it. It is very important. When we look at the great man theories, either it is Francis Galton or Thomas Carlyle, they all used to believe that great men are actually born, leadership is not produced. Actually, this is an inbuilt ability of the people by birth. But and they used to attribute it to certain traits which they used to think that a part of the personality. But besides that, from 1930 to 1940, we have uh, researches to explore the evidence for this particular theory, which was called as trait theory. And the proponent of this theory used to believe that leaders possess some personality traits that non-leaders do not possess at all, or possess only to a small extent. So, dear students, I would request you to just look, or rather watch this 10 minutes YouTube video. I mean, it would help you, number one, it would revise you whatever I'm teaching to you. Number two, you would be able to listen different perspective of both the leadership styles here in this lecture as well. So, we'll meet after 10 minutes. Just start listening to that particular video. Dear student, there is a very significant difference between the traits discussed in great man theory and the traits now being discussed in the modern era. Because in this modern era, whatever list of traits we have explored is actually based on empirical evidence. That is why you can see that early studies of leadership attempted to isolate that traits would reliably differentiate leaders from non-leaders. One of the leading person in trait theories was Ralph Stockdale, who reviewed 124 empirical studies conducted between 1904 to 1947. He explored low-level relationships ranging between 0.09 and 0.26, which were found in many areas. The research suggested that the leaders have a number of traits and skills that were not observed in non-leaders. Dear students, Stockdale empirically classified 5 traits and skills under the following journal headings. When I say empirically, it means that he explored all those things after getting evidence from empirical studies, round which were about 2 to 300, and he finally explored that thing. So the very first trait was capacity, the second achievement, third responsibility, fourth participation, and fifth one was status. So when we talk about capacity, it means that a leader must have the traits of intelligence, alertness, verbal facility, originality, judgment. And when we used to talk about achievements, he must have scholarship, knowledge, athletic accomplishments, responsibilities, meaning thereby he should have initiative, persistence, aggressiveness, self confidence, desire to excel. If we talk about participation, I mean, if we talk about this skill, these are 5 skills, and under those 5 skills, we have all the traits given in it. So let's talk about the big 5 dimensions of personality traits that were explored on the basis of empirical evidence. The first one is surgency, the second is agreeableness, the third one is conscientiousness, fourth emotional stability, and the fifth one is intellectence. Let's discuss it one by one. So let's see, what do we mean by surgency. It measures the degree to which an individual is sociable, gregarious, asserted, and leader-like, versus quiet, reserved, mannerly, and withdrawal. Some of the more common personality traits associated with the dimension include dominance, capacity for status or social presence, the need for power, sociability, surgency, or assertiveness. Let's talk about agreeableness. It measures the degree to which individuals are sympathetic, cooperative, good natured, warm versus grumpy, unpleasant, disagreeable, and cold. Personality traits associated with this dimension include likability, friendly, compliance, need for affiliation and love, conscientiousness. It differentiates individuals who are hardworking, persevering, organized, and responsible from those who are impulsive, irresponsible, undependable, and lazy. Personality traits categorizes under these dimensions include prudence and ambition, will to achieve, need for achievement, dependability, constant and work. Emotional stability. This dimension of personality concerns the extent to which individuals are calm, steady, cool, and self confident versus anxious, insecure, worried, and emotional. Some of the personality traits associated it with stability includes neuroticism, emotional stability, negative affectivity, and affect. Intellectence. This dimension of personality concerns the extent to which an individual is imaginative, cultured, broad minded, and curious versus concrete minded, practical, and having narrow interest. Personality traits associated with this dimension include culture and openness to experience. So the overall research actually sums up, which is totally based on empirical evidence, these traits of effective leaders. Although there are no specific characteristics that can define the leadership qualities in a person, most researches have shown that there are certain traits that differentiate leaders from non-leaders. Few leadership traits are initiative. A leader must always be a person who takes or who is not afraid to take initiative, ambition, desire to lead. If you don't have desire to lead, you cannot be a leader. Self confidence, analytical ability, knowledge, process, technology, industry, creative, and flexibility. Keep it in your mind, my students, that people tend to perceive that someone is a leader when he or she exhibits traits associated with intelligence, masculinity, and dominance. Meaning, thereby, unless you come forward, take the leading position, people won't accept you as a leader. People want their leaders to be credible. This is the most important feature of the personality of leader, credibility. Just like Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was delivering a speech in 1940 at Iqbal Park, Lahore, when a person who was totally ignorant of English language, he was a Punjabi speaking, he was asked by an some journalist that, do you understand what Jinnah is saying? And he said he cannot get even a single word, but he believes that whatever the person is saying is absolutely right. This is what we call credibility. Credible leaders are honest, forward looking, inspiring, and competent. But besides all those, there are many limitations so far as trait theory is concerned. No universal trait found that predict leadership in all situations. Trait predicts behavior better in weak than strong situation. Unclear evidence of cause and effect of relationship of leadership and traits, though there have been conducted many researches, but still we have no full-fledged, relationship between these things. Thank you very much for listening my lecture so patiently.